Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Old Reader, New Reader. I am your host, Omar. Tonight, we are talking about one of my favorite stories of all time. This is Uncanny X-Men, and we're talking about the Dark Phoenix Saga. And I need to introduce my two co-hosts, who are wonderful and whose opinion matter more than mine, because this is the first time they have read this story. And that is the lovely and beautiful Amanda.
Hi.
And the wonderful and equally beautiful Maddie. And
Oh,
smart, and smart, and smart. And that's it. That's who you got. And then you got my dumbass schmuck who has read this before. Thank you for joining us. This is Old Reader, New Reader. And tonight we are talking about Uncanny X-Men 129 to 138. The Dark Phoenix Saga. So what... do you all want me to do a kind of lead up to what happens, before this?
Yeah, I think it'd be best if you carry the majority of the story, because it's near and dear to your heart, so you can explain it a lot better.
Yes, and it is his birthday week, everyone. Yeah. So he has his birthday on the 14th, so make sure everyone messages him and stuff on the 14th.
I will be 27 years young. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so the Dark Phoenix Saga. Yes, Philip Evans, I have been a little bit. How did you know?
He has some pre-birthday drinks with Andrew and Dan. This is why he showed up at 8:05, guys.
I couldn't say no. I can't say no. That's my producer. Okay, so Uncanny X-Men has been going on since 1963. It was called X-Men, and then bam, the title gets nobody's reading it. And then in 1975, Giant Size X-Men 1 comes out. They're like, fuck everything else that happened. We're going to restart the title. We're going to reintroduce characters and introduce new characters. In issue 100 and 101, Jean Grey sacrifices her life to save them from a spaceship. She is controlling the spaceship down to Earth, and she gets radiation waves. And in issue 101, she dies and crashes into the water, where she is resurrected as the Phoenix. And she's like, guess what? I'm not dead. I was this super powered over mutant named Phoenix, and here I am. And since then, now keep in mind, this is since 1975. This issue that we're about to talk about take place in 1980 to 1981.
Okay.
So then this new team of Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and led by Cyclops, go on different adventures. Eventually, they meet the Shi'ar and the Imperial Guard. And the last adventure they went on was in Muir Island, where they met Moira MacTaggart and Banshee, and they defeated her son. And then they came back to New York. Meanwhile, Jean is getting messed around with by this gentleman named Jason Wingard, who's this really good-looking bearded fellow who's
super good-looking.
Okay, apparently super good-looking, not just good-looking. That might be his mutant power. Who is messing with her mind and she is time-slipping. She's like, oh, maybe I'm reliving one of my ancestors' lives. Or maybe, this is where I'm supposed to be. But Jason and her were supposed to be married. And he keeps messing with her. But meanwhile, she's the Phoenix, so she's trying to control this force, who at the time we didn't know was part of something else, but maybe it was her mutant power. So now the mutants are back in New York, and they found because of Cerebro, they found 2 new mutant signals. And that's where this story takes place in issue 129. I'll let you ladies take over from here. That's my intro. My name's Omar. God bless you all.
All right. So, yeah, like Omar said, and so anyone knows, whoever is new and has never seen the show, there will be spoilers because we're talking about the plot and everything. So just keep that in mind. So Charles Xavier has put them on a mission. He split up the teams to go find 2 mutants. One is Kitty Pryde. The other one is Dazzler. And so they've been split up, and I can't remember which team is which that went to go find who.
Well, there's Jean and Cyclops and one other person that went to go see Dazzler, because it's in the club with Dazzler that Jean gets mapped on by the Mastermind, right? That's his name.
Yes. Oh, spoiler, guys. So
what?
Jason Wig.
we don't know that yet, Maddie. Come on. We don't know that it's the mastermind.
Yes. So during this part, Jason Widgard has been messing with her mind, and we come to find out he's part of what is known as the Hellfire Club, which I think we've seen iterations of that in the movies for someone like me who's never read an X-Men comic book, or only read one since this one, which was, the other one we read. And so he's part of this Hellfire Club with Sebastian Shaw, Leyland, and Pierce. And they're the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. And they also have the White Queen, which is Emma Frost. And she's also a telepath. And I moved my thing. And their goal is to pretty much take down the X-Men, bad guy stuff, control, have power, consolidate power, and all that stuff. And so Jason Wingard has been saying he's going to use Jean Grey and getting into her mind to do that. And so as the teams have split up to look for these two mutants, we have the Hellfire Club going in, bringing their masked lackeys to come and attack our mutant friends, our X-Men. And the Storm and Colossus and Nightcrawler, right? Is it Nightcrawler with them? Mm-hmm. No, not Nightcrawler, Wolverine.
I don't know why I'm agreeing. Yep.
Nope, it's Wolverine. So the three of them go with Professor Xavier to meet Kitty Pryde's parents. And Emma Frost apparently had just come before pretending to be a professor from another established, special school. And she goes and has some milkshakes with Storm, and she gets to know her and they become friends. And all of a sudden they're attacked at this little milkshake shop by
mandroids.
By mandroids, that's what they're called.
Mandroids. Did you like
and
how
they know their every move?
Colossus neat. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I thought that was adorable.
I did fixate a lot on. I mean, it felt a little weird because Kitty Pryde is like
13 and a half. You remember being 13 and a half.
Well, it was so cute to see, like, when they first met, though.
And being attracted to guys like Giles.
You're going to be almost married so many times.
Yeah.
We didn't know that back then. We just thought, it's
we didn't know.
Little, like, Jewish kid. And I love the way that she's drawn because she is, like, between John Byrne and Alan Davis, they got that down pat. They were amazing at drawing. But I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No. Did her and Colossus have a relationship? Am I making that up in my head?
Nope. No, they do.
Okay.
They're
How old is he?
They're at that time.
Did you go back and watch our favorite Returns episode on Near Mint Condition? Not sure if you're aware of that channel or not. My favorite return was the Return of Colossus. Just throwing that out there.
I understand that. Yes, I know.
But yeah, like they don't have a relationship at this time, but they're like when it comes to like X-Men relationships, it's like Rogue and Gambit, number one, obviously, and then you've got Kitty Pryde and Colossus.
Okay.
I mean, they got married. Nobody else did. Look
at that. Gambit over Cyclops and Phoenix.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Well,
I'll keep that in mind.
I'm sorry, I'm never going to choose Jean Grey over Rogue. Let's just say that right now. Okay.
I wouldn't either because Rogue's my girl, but that's another story. Go ahead. Keep going. You guys are killing it.
Okay. So the Mandroids managed to defeat
Freddie, he was 18 at the time. So he was a little legal, but he was Russian. He was Russian. So it could be different. Cultural difference.
Yeah.
Continue.
Why not? Okay, so they managed to defeat our 3 X-Men over on that side because they have Emma Frost there. And, of course, they know every move. They've studied the X-Men. They know what their powers are. They know how to defeat them. But Kitty Pryde, using her powers, manages to escape unbeknownst to them. They were trying to find her, but they figured it didn't matter as much. They find her later. And they took all of our X-Men, including Professor Xavier, to their evil lair.
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, you have Jean Grey and Scott went to find the Dazzler. And she's at a disco club. She wants to be a famous...
Nightcrawler, too.
Nightcrawler, yes. He's with them as well. So they head to a disco club. And this is where, of course, she sees Jason Wingard. He presents himself there and kind of transfix her, and Scott's like, "What the hell is going on? Who is this guy?" She acts like it don't even exist when this guy comes to her, and they dance, and because he's established some kind of this psychic bond with her, Jason Wingard, who Maddie might have already mentioned his real identity already. And meanwhile, you have Kitty Pryde had called the X-Men. She had sneaked onto their ship and went to where the evil lair was, called the X-Men, and she called Nightcrawler. He answered. And so she told him what happened. And so they have to go basically and save the X-Men that have been captured and find Kitty Pryde, who's kind of lurking about doing her own thing. And they bring the Dazzler with them to help because they're also attacked at the same time. But because the Dazzler uses her abilities, they're able to fend off the Mandroids. Because I don't think they expected the Dazzler and her powers, so they're able to fight them off. So they know something's up. They know people are after them, and now they have to find the other X-Men. And Maddie, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, sure. So at this point, oh gosh. Oh, honestly, Omar needs to be leaving this because
I got it. So
they leave and then go to that
by
party.
this point, we're on issue 130. When, by the way, this can be read in single issues if you all remember that. But we're not talking about single issues. We're talking about collections. So this can be read as a collected edition in the Omnibus, in second Omnibus. Don't get that Dark Phoenix Omnibus, by the way. Get Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 1 and 2. You don't need that Dark Phoenix Omnibus. God bless you if you've already bought it. Well, these are out of print, but I see these being reprinted. Or you can get the single issues. Yeah, so by now we're in issue 130, where, yeah, apparently, Disco was in at that time. Then we have the White Queen come in with her hot, mind control power that she had over these mutants. And they kidnapped the mutants, and you're right, Amanda. Kitty Pryde calls Nightcrawler. I almost said Maddie called Nightcrawler. That's ridiculous. Kitty Pryde calls Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler's like, yeah, okay, shit, what am I going to do? I'm going to call the rest of the X-Men. So they're able to rescue them with the help of Kitty Pryde and Dazzler. But then Dazzler's like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to be in this team. I'm about to, break it into the Disco world. Disco's about to be really big in the 1980s, so I'm out. Kitty Pryde, on the other hand, is taken back home with her parents, and Professor Xavier's like, hey, I'm sorry I brought your daughter, and she got kidnapped, and her parents are freaking out. Meanwhile, Jean is now able to manipulate people, so much so that she's able to, change their emotions, where she turns Carmen and his wife, Kitty Pryde's parents, into oh, thank God you brought my kid back. Please take her with you whenever you open up your school. And the whole time, by the way, Cyclops is like, man, Jean is getting really super powerful.
Yeah, there's a lot of inner dialogue.
Changing clothes really quickly and then doing...
Yeah, she's materializing her outfit. The whole time we're seeing, thought bubbles. This is the 1980s when comic books were written.
A lot of thought bubbles, a lot of narrative blocks. Yeah.
So she's able to change minds, and Cyclops the whole time's like, man, she's so strong. I'm glad she's my girlfriend.
I'm glad she's my girlfriend.
So yeah, that's where that leaves off. Then
Wait, did we get to where she destroyed
issue 132? Oh yeah, she does end up destroying. Killing White Queen.
They go through a battle, and that's how powerful they realize she's become. I think.
Let me pull out my original issue here.
I think Storm is the one who kind of makes the comment. Yeah. She kind of sees
Storm's like, holy crap, she is about to kill that chick. That's messed up.
It's so beautiful and yet so terrible at the same time.
Yeah. So
her powers.
Now it's like, hey, we need to figure out who these guys are, who these Hellfire Club members are.
Yep.
And we need to infiltrate them. So they go and visit Angel. And this is where Maddie had her revelation that back in the 1980s, apparently people said hello a different way than they do now.
in making your boyfriend jealous. I still don't understand that.
It looked like an open
All
mouth.
right, wait.
too.
Let me
So I was like, what's going on?
let me get that panel up and going. Let me get that because I thought it was hilarious that Maddie texted me going, what is happening here? And I'm like, that's how people said hello in the 1980s.
And didn't he have his own girlfriend who's like
Yeah,
even
Candy,
more scantily dressed?
Right here,
Candy?
Candy Southern. All right. So this is the issue right here where Angel and Phoenix meet again, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "Oh," and then they start like sucking face, which that's how you said hello to friends back in the 1980s. I'm sorry that you don't say
I don't think that's true.
Well, you did if you were a millionaire
in any
like,
movie.
a millionaire playboy and good looking and had wings. That's how you said hello. Okay.
Yeah.
You may not say hello that way now, but that's how you did it back then. And that's why people were a lot tighter back then. We didn't have Facebook. We just used to make out with each other. Anyway, carry on. Who wants to take over?
You were carrying on.
Yeah, I thought you were carrying. You were going on. Okay, so they met Angel, and they're
Oh, was I supposed to? Okay. Nope, go ahead, Amanda. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're fine. And he actually, so there's a nice scene. There's a very intimate scene with Jean Grey and Scott. This is how powerful she becomes. She's able to. They're on top of a mountain. So after her and Angel have their kiss, and they're like, don't want to make her jealous. Reddy or whatever heck he called her was the name. Red. Okay, just Red. They go on top of a mountain, and she again changes her outfit, and they have a really intimate moment, and she takes off his glasses, and she uses her abilities.
Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you, because that is a very important moment. I'm sorry. That's the last time I interrupt. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Raymond said he does not remember greedy people like that in the 1980s. So, Omar, you're wrong. Okay, anyways.
Raymond, you didn't hang around the right crowd, brother. Not my fault. All right, go ahead.
So, she's able to control his optic blast so that it doesn't come out, so that she can see his eyes, and they can, have a very intimate, special moment together. So it's clear these two really feel for each other and obviously love each other, and it's a very beautiful moment in an otherwise interesting run. So meanwhile, you have that going on, and you learn from Angel that he's part of the Hellfire Club, and he's like, I don't understand. They're not bad. I'm part of the Hellfire Club. It's just a bunch of rich people. What are you talking about?
It's like the Illuminati nowadays, right? Like Will Smith's like, the Illuminati, of course I'm part of them. Yeah, they're not bad people. What are you guys talking about? I can get you guys into their parties. We got it. So that's what they do. They infiltrate the party, the Hellfire Club party, which leads us into Omnibus Volume 2, by the way. This wonderful Omnibus right here. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yes. So they all get dressed up to go to this party.
Have you seen Jean's dress? Did y'all check out Jean's dress?
Yes, I thought Storm looked beautiful too. Yes, she had a very pretty and elegant dress. And again, of course, Jason Wingard is there, sweeps her off her feet, and she enters into this time slip. And he keeps calling her the Black Queen, and that is pretty much this form or entity that he wants her to take on as the new Black Queen of the Hellfire Club is his goal. And Scott is going through his these time slips. Mm-hmm. Why is she seeing this guy Jason in real life and in these time slips? It doesn't make sense. What's their connection? And meanwhile, he takes her upstairs, and when he looks back, just for a second, his guise is let go, and we find out that he is Mastermind. He's not actually a handsome guy named Jason Wingard. He's Mastermind.
He was catfishing before catfishing was a thing. That's awesome.
He was catfishing before catfishing was a thing.
Yeah. Not that I know what that is. Not that I know what that is firsthand, but I've heard through MTV and other shows that catfishing is what Jason Wingard was doing to Jean Grey. Continue.
Yes. Okay. So when Scott realizes this, he goes to attack, and by this time it's too late. He manages to have, I guess, taken over her mind completely, and she becomes the Black Queen, and she attacks all of the X-Men that are there, save Wolverine is in the sewers right now, kind of doing his secret thing, but all of them try to attack.
Don't downplay that. Wolverine got attacked. He got attacked by Harry Leland, who has the mutant ability to change people's mass. And he makes Wolverine really heavy. Right. At this point, by the way, Chris Claremont has this little thing where he likes to make a lot of mutants absorb kinetic energy. That's his thing. Gambit does the same thing. A lot of mutants that Chris Claremont created does that. So does Sebastian Shaw. But I always like Harry Leland because he was this guy that can make people way more, things way more than they are. So that's what he does with Wolverine. He makes him way more, and the floor gives in, and he goes down through the sewers, and he's like, "Oh, Wolverine's dead. That was easy." Wolverine's like, "Fuck, no, I'm not dead, dude. Still alive."
Yep.
Pops his closet. Oh man, I love that fucking panel. It's my fucking favorite return panel
When I
ever.
saw that panel, the Wolverine alone, I thought, yeah, that is
That-
definitely an Omar.
That's it. That's my
love
favorite
This
fucking
one right here.
cliffhanger
Yeah,
moment
that right there is an
Wolverine
Omar
pops
moment.
falls
I thought,
out
yeah,
and
he
says,
liked that.
My turn.
Even though, is he real? So he's short.
Yeah, of course he is. He's like 5 foot.
Really?
Yeah.
Because Hugh Jackman was not 5 foot.
Are we seriously comparing Hugh Jackman to
I'm
the
just-
real Wolverine?
Well, I would like them to be more accurate next time because they're obviously gonna have to recast him. So I'm just.
Well, they're
saying,
gonna cast Danny DeVito. They can't cast
That's
Danny
exactly
DeVito as
what I thought.
Wolverine.
Honestly, short and
what I
hairy.
thought.
Danny DeVito would
He
work.
is hairy. You saw Big Fish. Remember he takes.
Are
when
we
he was
really
the part-
casting Danny DeVito as Wolverine? 'Cause
Yep,
that's my
done.
favorite. That's my favorite character ever.
No,
I love
that
that
is-
guy.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, and you have Sebastian Shaw who fights Colossus. And what's interesting about Sebastian Shaw is that he absorbs kinetic energy, much like the Black Panther suit in Black
Mhm.
Panther's movie. Because this is how I relate things, guys. So work with me here. But they manage to defeat everyone, and they cheers to the Black Queen, even though Sebastian Shaw knows that he thinks this is a power play from Jason Wingard, because no one knows it's Mastermind except for Cyclops and the other X-Men who are now down for the count. But they think it's a power play right now for leadership of the inner circle of the Hellfire Club. So, it's not going to work out in their favor when you have infighting, secretly infighting.
Have we
with the villain.
mentioned? Have we? Just out of curiosity, and this is
Yeah,
not that important, but have we mentioned?
Pierce the android?
No, how amazingly hot Jean Grey looks as the Black Queen in her outfit.
I don't
'cause
think
that's
we
It
did.
is a cool outfit. I was
That's-
wondering how many people cosplayed that because I was like, that's
Yeah.
such a good outfit
Well,
to cosplay.
She hasn't been the Black Queen very often because then Celine took on after that. But the White Queen is cosplayed a lot. I'm just saying. I guess what my point is that a lot more ladies need to cosplay as Jean Grey Black Queen because that's a really cool outfit, more so than the Phoenix outfit. Anyway, carry on.
I like the Dark Phoenix outfit.
Yeah, I like that one. The colors are nice
Yeah.
in that one.
It's just red
enjoy
instead
that.
of green.
Yeah,
Right.
Red and gold. There's something about the red and gold that I think stands out more than the green
Yeah.
and yellow.
Really? Okay. Well, all right. Carry on.
Okay, so the next issue is focused on Wolverine, who is still alive because that guy doesn't die. And he now is going to infiltrate the Hellfire Club and try to save his friends and teammates. So he's going through the sewers, attacking the mandroids that are there. Meanwhile, you have all the X-Men.
Those aren't mandroids. I'm sorry.
Okay, now what are they are?
No, these are just Hellfire
Henchmen.
Club members.
They're just
This is why we told
Okay, they're
you to
just-
carry it, Omar.
I know.
we call them androids. I'm gonna call them henchmen now.
The,
from now on.
the
Or
mandroids
lackings.
were the guys with the armor. Those were mandroids. These are Hellfire Club. Which, by the way, I love Chris Claremont. So some of these guys,
We know.
Cole, Reese, and Kyle, end up getting hacked up by Wolverine in issue 133. About 4 or 5 years later, they become the Reavers with Lady Deathstrike. Like, she rebuilds them, and she's like, hey, we need to avenge what he did to you, and they become her first set of Reavers. Anyway, just a side note, I love X-Men. I love Chris Claremont. Carry on. Sorry.
We know. Okay, so meanwhile, you have the X-Men are trapped, locked up, and of course you have your little Hellfire Club, pretty much using Jean Grey or the Black Queen to play with them, basically. So in her mind, she still sees them as these like continental revolutionary period style people. Obviously, Storm is a slave, and you have
that felt weird. I
that
didn't
was
like
really
that.
weird. Did not, which yeah, that
It's
was really
80s, I guess.
No,
Scott was-
no. It's
Scott was an
his-
American revolutionary.
historically-
Obviously, this is before Hamilton.
Oh, we're not doing historically.
historically accurate if you were to go back to that time, being that the high society that they were, bunch of white people. They probably may have
And
owned
they
one or
were
two
also
slaves.
British imperialists,
Yeah,
clearly,
makes sense.
because Cyclops played
Chris
a
Claremont
American
did his
revolutionary.
research. He knew what. Yeah, come on.
Yes.
Anyway.
So you have them all, and she's playing. They also put this helmet over Scott to, obviously protect them from his blast, and also I think kind of to help try to keep his, because he built a psychic rapport with Jean Grey because they're in love, and she developed this inner psychic rapport with him so they could communicate when no one else could. And so he's trying to do his best, because this story, if not, is anything about Scott stepping up to the plate as the leader of the X-Men after Xavier is stepping away, even though he criticizes him. And he's trying to connect with Jean and get into her head. And you think it's going to work, and it seems like it's going to work, and then it doesn't work.
Mhm.
And he ends up having a duel with Jason Wingard, and in the
Mentally.
time slip, he gets run through, and you think, oh, Cyclops is dead. And that is pretty much, that's the end of that chapter. Yeah, or that issue. You think that Cyclops is dead. Meanwhile, Wolverine is trying to figure out, okay, he's upstairs, he sees a party, the only way to get through is to go straight through, so how is he going to do it? So that kind of leaves us off
Cut
with that
through
issue.
all these motherfuckers is how he's gonna do it. That's how he's gonna do it, because it's Wolverine. By the
That's
way,
right.
I have to mention, because this is one of my all-time top 10 favorite issues of all time. This is issue 133. This is the first solo issue for Wolverine. Beforehand, Wolverine was a cool dude, and he said a lot of cool things. He macked on Scott's girl, but you never really got to see how badass he was up until this issue right here, where Wolverine lashes out. Says so on the
Yeah.
title, and he does. He cuts through these dudes, and he's like, I don't know, like a mix of like Clint Eastwood meets like Steve McQueen. He's just so badass. And he's like, yeah, you want to pick up that gun. Come at me. Come on. Pick up that gun. And he's teasing all these villains the whole time. And oh my God, this is the issue that made people back in the 80s a fan of Wolverine. And I'm not kidding. Like, this is the issue. This is the solo issue that people are like, man, maybe this guy is a lot more than what he says. Anyway, that's
Definitely.
it. That's all I wanted to add. Go ahead,
Oh,
Amanda.
no,
you're
good.
killing it with the synopsis. You're doing an
Yeah,
amazing.
so I'm basically going through to remind myself. Okay,
You're killing the show. You're really doing, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean you're literally like killing it. You're awesome.
Okay. Anyway, so next issue, we think Cyclops is dead. No, he's not dead. All the Mastermind has done was basically kill the link between him and Jean Grey. So everything's about to come together. They all think that you have your 4 inner circle guys all kind of about to turn against each other because they're all going to fight for power soon, thinking that Jean Grey is most powerful. And then there's this really awesome part where Wolverine just busts through the door with a bunch of guys on top of him, like, we still got business, dude. And that's when Jean Grey, she did manage to release Mastermind's hold on her, and she frees the X-Men, and they attack. So then you have this big battle scene between all of them, the inner circle of the Hellfire Club, our X-Men, and of course, you have some great fight sequences here, very good fight sequences, where like Wolverine uses Leland's mask thing to his advantage. Nightcrawler uses, his skills to fight against Sebastian Shaw because he knows kinetic energy, so he's trying to do something to beat him, and then Storm as well, trying to freeze him and stop him. And meanwhile, in the middle of this fight, you get an interlude of Beast, which we haven't seen him at all until right now. He's an Avenger right now, right? And so he's at Avengers Tower or Avengers headquarter. No, Avengers Mansion. And he sees an alert that the cops are called.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to
yeah.
stop you right there. Just to thank you. It was Avengers Mansion. They did not have a tower at the time. Thank you. God bless you.
Well, I said Mansion. I fixed it.
You did. I'm just really proud of that moment of you realizing what you're reading. Thank you. That's it. That's the last thing I'm gonna interrupt. That's the last time I interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had the best video of all time. Go ahead.
Okay, Kanye.
All time. Thank you for recognizing that.
Okay, I'm gonna let you finish, but oh, that poor woman. Okay, so you still have Mastermind playing his role until Jean Grey, and this is the scene where Jean Grey gets the Mastermind. She basically goes into his head and gives him this power, like inside his head, makes him see like the whole like cosmic universe. It kind of reminds me, this is me trying to do in the terrible Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, when the main villain went on the power.
Stop, Maddie, stop her right now, Maddie. Do not let her
I'm
talk
just
about
gonna be that
Crystal
person.
Skull.
This is
Nobody
how I make my
talks about
connection.
Crystal Skull.
But she
I've never
turns
seen
him
it, so I
into.
can't help.
There goes half of our audience. Crystal
No,
Skull,
I'm
really,
just-
Amanda? What are we talking about?
I prefaced it with a terrible movie. Okay, but what she does is she pretty much invites the whole cosmos into his brain, and this leaves him as a vegetable pretty much. So she has completely decimated the Mastermind at this point. He is done. And the fight, for the most part, once that happens, the fight for the most part is over. The police are on their way. They know they need to leave because, as we've seen in other things we've read, humans do not like mutants. They are okay with heroes. They are not okay with mutants. So it doesn't matter who's on the right side of things. They need to get out of there because Shaw and all of them could use everything they've got to try to put them away. So they got to get out as fast as they can. And at this point is when the big reveal, or when the power just completely consumes Jean, and we get this right here.
What kind of power is that?
The Dark Phoenix.
Absolute power.
Absolute power.
Come on.
And
remember? That was the speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. Look, I love that I'm holding my single issue up right next to your trade, and I've got the fucking Omnibus over here, but it's just so fun to pull these things out when I was a kid. These single issues. These are the only single issues I still have. It's my Uncanny X-Men run. Except for my giant size one. I had to sell that because I had to pay for a lawyer. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, so she is now the Dark Phoenix. And yes, Jeff, I did not know that it was basically the Playboy Mansion, so they just press babes. That sounds about right. That sounds about right. So then the next issue we have the Dark Phoenix pretty much wreaking havoc, right? She goes after the X-Men. Obviously, they can't stop her, and they try their best, yet she can pretty much destroy, or she can pretty much knock them all down. She doesn't kill them. She knocks them down because they're still her friends, and inside, I think deep down, she's still Jean Grey. Meanwhile, you have the Hellfire Club escaping. They see the Phoenix in the sky. They know the power has been unleashed, and this is where we have. You even get a little cameo by the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
My favorite Spidey.
Fantastic Four. Doctor Strange.
So, Doctor Strange, my other favorite. So powerful that Spidey senses can pick it up. Awesome.
Well, and honestly though, all he had to do was look up and be like, "There's a giant goddamn fucking Firebird up in the sky." Of course, spider senses are going the fuck off, right? Yes. Oh, yes. I thought I was looking at the panel, but I'm looking at a Twinkies ad. Yeah.
And Moon Knight. Okay, so even the Silver Surfer has recognized a power, even when he's in space, and that's when Jean Grey. She's hungry and she needs to feed on more. She needs more power, so she heads into space, and she basically eats a star, which is a sun. What?
Dude, no, yes, I'm agreeing with you. Keep going.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes.
It's like we're at church, and I'm like, praise Jesus. Yes, keep preaching. You're doing great.
Yep, exactly right.
You're doing awesome.
Thank you. She eats the star, which then, of course, without the sun, a whole planet is completely and utterly destroyed because of it. So the lives of, I think the Dabari is what they're called, or the planet's Dabari. Is that the picture you used for our thumbnail?
The system is called the Dabari, yes. But
Dabari system.
One of the planets that inhabits that system happened to have, 5 billion people, broccoli-headed people living in there.
Kind of like Earth, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
So
there's some really nice there's some really poignant narration in this because they have a lot of the narration blocks and not a lot of dialogue in these scenes. Just talking about how some of the people, luckily some people were asleep when it happened. Some people saw it as so they thought the sun was rising. Like they have a little really poignant moments there. And then you see a Shi'ar ship, one of their battle cruisers, and they're like, what is this? They try to attack her and she destroys them. And this is brought to the attention of Lilandra.
Yes.
Yes, the Empress.
I'm not one to pronounce names,
Lilandra.
but I always can pronounce it Lilandra, so I assume it's
Lilandra, okay.
Lilandra, whatever you just said. Yes, that's the one.
Okay. Lilandra.
Which is Professor X's main squeeze at the time.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Wow.
I've noticed that. I was like, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And
Professor X likes
realizes-
him a little. Sorry, that was
No,
off
you're fine.
topic.
Go
Go ahead. No, just he likes him a little ethnic, like outside of the
of the human race.
Yeah, so that's.
Hey,
I'm gonna shut up now.
each
You're doing
his
really
own.
good. You girls, you
Okay.
ladies are doing really good.
All right. Maddie, anytime you step in on this.
Yeah, anytime you want to step in, Maddie. I know I'm supposed to be carrying this
I asked
episode.
Omar to carry this. This is
I know, and I just don't know if he can right now.
Okay, you want me to carry it?
Okay,
I'll
so-
carry it. I'll carry
No,
it. I got
It's fine. I'll jump in. We got it.
No, do
So
it.
she
do it.
does this, and she heads back to Earth because she's already kind of destroyed everything. And
Yeah.
she heads back,
She's
and for some
absorbing.
reason,
She's absorbing. That's what she needs. She needs to feed. So she absorbs the
Yes, 'cause
star,
she's
and then she
absorbing.
comes back to Earth, and she's like, "I'm full now. I'm gonna go see my mom and dad." That's when
That
Matt
makes-
is going to take over from now.
that was a really weird little section because like she goes back to her house, and she's kind of Jean, but she's still kind of Dark Phoenix, and she's trying to hold
Yes.
everything back, but she can hear all of their thoughts, so she's way too strong.
What?
So deep down, she can feel that they're scared of her.
Yes,
One thing I do
exactly.
need to say before, and this is sober Omar talking. This is before any retcon. This is
Okay.
Jean Grey. This is not the Phoenix. This is not
Okay.
her. Jean Grey is buried underwater somewhere. This is Jean Grey, and that is very important to note back in. All right.
Okay,
That's
Go ahead.
the last time I interrupt. God bless y'all. Good night.
that's fine. So, so this happens, and like she goes to see them, probably because like on the inside, Jean, needs that,
Exactly,
that
she needs
there's
that.
a lot going on. So subconsciously, I think because Jean's still there, and she goes to
Yes.
see them, but she can feel that the deepest, darkest pit of their thoughts, they're scared of her. So underneath all the love and excitement to see her, they're scared, and she
Mhm.
can't help but concentrate on that, and she can't like close their thoughts off from her. So she kind of flips out and scares them, and then jolts. Luckily, she has enough self-control to do that. She ends up then fighting the X-Men. So there's a big fight between her and everyone else, and she's the Dark Phoenix, so you can't really do anything. And
Until
tries to stop her, and he's like, "I love you," and she's just like, "Can't help you there." Like,
Yeah.
Until Professor X he comes into the fray and tries to mind blast her, and it ends up being successful, but only because on the inside, Jean Grey has kind of allowed for that to happen. And so he's able to get through the Phoenix Force, and she's mind blasted for a time. So it ends up that she's able to kind of get a clear head. She's back to normal Jean Grey. And I'm unsure of like her memory of what she's done or not, but
it's
you know,
deep in there. Yeah.
aware that she was not herself at the very least.
Yes.
But they don't
This had
have
a
much
much
to
more-
celebrate
Yeah.
because they are teleported to
The Shi'ar, right?
PR because
Yes.
Alondra has a duty to uphold, and she can't, despite
she
her
has
feelings
to.
for
She's
Professor
an
X
Empress.
and Jean Grey and the X-Men, she knows that Jean Grey and the Phoenix, she has to be held responsible. So
Yeah.
they all go up there, and and it's great because like Lalandra, she's so obvious about her feelings about things because it's just constantly like, oh, it's Xavier, oh, but I can't do
Oh,
this.
but I can't do it.
I'm an Empress first, blah, And
It's hard though because Professor X has that
something.
good loving, right?
Yeah.
So they get there.
That sexy bald man look. Yeah, that's what he.
Yeah.
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 Which I mean, he's good.
I mean,
if he was
come on.
Patrick Stewart, I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right.
of course.
That's exactly
Yeah.
where I was going. Right. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So
Go on.
she gets there, and then they, like, I mean, out of nowhere, they teleport everyone up there, the whole X-Men. And Alondra's like, hey, you killed an entire planet that was, populated. And Jean, she's losing it, and she everything's starting to like weigh on her about what happened. It was out of her control, but it happened. And everyone else, all the other X-Men are like, listen, she suffered enough right now because she's obviously feels super bad about this, which does not hold up in an intergalactic court of law.
No, they're like, we're not good enough. It's like that.
But what does is Professor X being like, hey, I know that Shi'ar sometimes do like a battle of honor, though. Can we do that?
Yes.
And she's like,
Duel of Honor.
yeah, I guess.
Is that what Professor X sounded like in your head? Hey.
Yeah. And then we get to see the Supreme Intelligence of the Creeks, but they all have to agree on it. And
but you're right.
the
That
leader
was such a badass scene, by the way. I have that issue signed by John Byrne. Love that issue. I hate that the cover says this comic book may be worth $2,500. I always hated that. Really? I don't need that in my comic.
Did they do variant covers back then a lot of the times, or was that
no,
it? Like,
they did zero variant covers. This is
because
a new thing.
People
variant covers came. Look, the Omnibus has a Stuart Eminem variant cover, not the original by John Byrne. See the difference, right? So yeah, this is my original copy, signed by John Byrne. Oh man, I love this stuff. You two were doing such a good job, by the way. Like describing things that are happening in X-Men.
Oh yeah, I forgot Angel was there too.
Yeah, so that's another important thing to note is that by this point,
he was proverbial nick of time. Proverbial nick of time. I love when you
wow,
said that.
good job. Wow, you remember that?
Yeah.
So
pretty much it.
All My Stars and Garters, Hank McCoy and Angel end up joining them,
to fight
completely on accident because at this point Beast is in the Avengers, and Warren Worthington III had just inherited his parents' estate and I guess doing things with Candy. But yeah, now it's like Maddie said, Professor X is like, hey, wait a minute. We are going to do a trial by combat. That's where this amazing issue takes place. Issue 137, the penultimate issue to the Dark Phoenix saga. Go ahead, ladies. You're killing it.
Okay. So
that's the last time I interrupt.
Kind of breeze over things because I know that it was getting towards the end of our usual time, and I want time for us to discuss this.
Yes,
so
exactly. Let's just go over this.
She accepts much to the chagrin of other members of that intergalactic council or what have you, because they're like, what the F? You said we were just going to murder her. And she's like, I can't help it. So then they get a night to kind of relax, which is kind of odd because all the X-Men basically decide we're going to fight for Jean. We'll be her team. And they all get a load off in like very nice rooms, which is kind of cute.
Yes.
Because, Beast is like taking a big bath and, you see like naked Wolverine, because he's excited to take a shower. Everyone's, it's kind of like a sign out for
ready.
He's meditating because remember of his Asian roots that he's into. He's a Japanese samurai. Go ahead.
And then Jean and Scott kind of get to have their like kind of not really goodbye, but just like a they're reunited again after everything happened. Just reconfirming their love for each other.
Yep.
But also at this time, Scott doesn't completely have access to Jean's thoughts like he did. She's kind of closing off again. And she's got a lot going on, so I'm sure he's just like, well, okay. And so they go into the battle the next day. They're transported to kind of like an asteroid-looking thing. Basically, there's a limit to the amount of air and atmosphere they have, which ends up coming into play because Storm can only do so much.
They're on the moon.
Can only fly so far away.
Okay.
They're supposed to be on the moon. That is very important many years later.
Okay, they're on the moon.
Yeah.
And Jean no longer has access to her Phoenix powers at this point. And this is a really nice moment because when they all go there, Jean chooses the new outfit. And by new, I mean old. Her first outfit. She wears the Marvel Girl outfit with like the yellow mask and the green dress.
Yeah.
So she's feeling nostalgic, which obviously is just Claremont setting you up
for what happens next. Yeah.
So they start fighting. It's not going well for anyone. And then at some point, the Phoenix powers take over Jean again, and she can feel it coming on, and she knows that the Dark Phoenix is going to take over again. And you can see her suit change, right? So when the Phoenix powers first takes over, her suit changes to the Phoenix. And then when the Dark Phoenix takes over, it's the red suit. And then
you can tell.
She's like, Scott, you've got to kill me. You've got to do this. And everyone knows that they've got to kill her now, but no one really wants to. So Wolverine can't handle it at all. So instead he sends Colossus to do it, which is a great moment for Omar because they do the special.
Yeah, the special.
What the fuck does that mean? You mean like explain yourself? The Denny special? What special? The fastball.
The fastball special.
The fastball special, yeah, with Wolverine.
You ruined it for me, so I can't remember the name. I remember Hotball special, which is not the name of the
That was Tina, not me. Tina.
So
that was Tina. Tina's on the chat right now. Tina knows.
Yeah, so Wolverine is like, I can't do this. Like, I'll get to her. I care too much about her. I won't be able to deliver the final blow. You have to do it. So they do like the reverse fastball special because at that moment in like the environment that they're in, he can actually like propel him. But it ends up not working out for anyone. And at the end of it, it's just Jean and Scott talking to one another, and she can feel it coming. And she's like, "You have to kill me." And she ends up kind of leading Scott to a place near a weapon where she's able to kill herself because she's scanned everyone there. She knows where the weapons are.
She knows.
And she blows herself up, thus ending everything.
The dark, yes. And the Watcher's been there the whole time. And
Wolverine even accidentally ends up like stumbling in the Watcher's lair. Like during this scene, it was just one of my favorite scenes. Yes, I'm holding.
Oh yeah, he stumbles into his lair. He's like, "You need to leave now,
sir." And the Watcher's like, "You need to get out of here." And Wolverine's like, "Motherfucker, next time you just need to put up a no trespassing sign instead of kicking me through time."
That's right.
Which is
Wolverine.
That is Wolverine. But that is issue 137, which yeah, you're right. She ends up,
and he
gives a beautiful, like the Watcher gives a beautiful speech at the end as to
talks about humans. Yeah.
Go ahead, Amanda. Do you remember what it is?
No, you go ahead. No, you go. I want to steal your thunder. I was just agreeing.
No.
It's
a beautiful speech about how, because she's human, she decided to die. She decided to give up her godhood and die as
instead
a human.
of live like a god. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
we are all because we humans are, if nothing, if self-sacrificing. That is our motto, apparently.
And
that is what makes us heroes.
That's it. Yeah, and that wraps up with issue 138, which is what I like to call the kind of we don't have comic books like this anymore, really. Not in a long time. If anybody in the chat or in the comments, if you're watching this later, can remember an issue where they're talking about comic books as the catch-up episode, the filler episode, if you will. Let me know in the comments down below. That's what this is. Issue 138 is Cyclops leaving the team, but pretty much going through everything that has happened between X-Men 1 and now. And that ends the Phoenix Saga. Self-sacrifice. Not Wolverine popping his claws out and killing her like in the shitty X3, or in Grant Morrison's run.
And he kills her, yeah.
Not to downplay Grant Morrison's run, but Phoenix herself, Jean Grey, decides she needs to kill herself, and I love that. So let's talk a little bit about this issue 129 to 138. Different kind of storytelling, I'm sure, for you ladies, because this is I want to say this is more like Bronze Age, not really Silver Age kind of storytelling, because this is 1980, right before most of us were born. Most of us. But what did you all think? What did you all think about this? The way it was written, the story, and the narrative, and everything. Did you fall in love with any of the characters? Who wants to go first?
So, I don't feel like our reaction is going to match up to your hopes. which I hate to tell you on your birth week.
Your birth week.
I'm canceling the show right now. It's over. Fuck this show.
I can appreciate, the story. I'm glad that I got to read about a major Marvel event, because this is something I've always heard about, but had never read or really looked into. I have a new appreciation for Jean. I thought it was really interesting to see her go through that process. Honestly, this is one of the better comics I've read with Scott in it. I thought Scott was a really strong character, especially in that time when Jean kind of knocked herself out of being Black Queen, and his helmet came off, and he had to kind of do his best without the visors. I thought that was really cool. It was nice to see Kitty Pryde for the first time. I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I did not connect with it as much as you, but I think that is a lot of nostalgia. You know what I mean? Because I didn't grow up with this story. I grew up with X-Men, the
me too,
the cartoon shows, so I have connections to the characters already. So I do have that. I know all these people from X-Men cartoon, X-Men Evolution, from my many years of reading X-Men Evolution fan fiction. But
that's a little different. All right, go ahead.
I'm saying that I know them, but I've read a few X-Men stories now, and I couldn't put this as my favorite. But I can appreciate and realize how much this means to you.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay. I'll take that. What about you, Amanda? What did you think?
Yeah, it took me a little bit to keep reading. For me, it felt like, even though it was the Dark Phoenix Saga, I felt like it was more of it was a love story. I wasn't expecting that. And not that I don't love love stories. I mean, look at who I am. I love chick flicks, for crying out loud. But I thought at some points it felt more of Scott telling Jean's story than it was Jean's story. And I felt like Scott was a very strong character. I wasn't a huge fan of using the time slips and all that to try and manipulate her, and that helped to bring about the Dark Phoenix. I was expecting something different, I guess. So it wasn't what I expected. And but I can appreciate the story for what it was, because when we're talking about it right now through the show, and I can hear the excitement, and even I, as I recount it, I can get excited for it, because those action sequences, the last battle scene, her self-sacrifice, are great moments in this piece. But overall, it just didn't give me the same feel as some other comics have given me. Which one did we read earlier? Is it God Loves?
Man Kills? That was really good.
Man Kills. Yeah, I really loved that.
That was about 5 years after this was written.
Okay, so I really I think that one might have, for me, a little bit better than this one. But I understand, this is a great saga, and it's something that this is why they keep remaking it in different versions in movie format, because they want to get this story down. They want to do it justice. They just haven't done it yet. And I can appreciate it for that. But at the end of the day, I did feel, I was like, there was something lacking for me, I guess, that it didn't reach one of my top time all favorite. And that probably is a nostalgia factor. But I did enjoy the narration and the action sequences, the way they were drawn, the coloring in those. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that as well. So those were good aspects for me as far as the comic is concerned overall.
Oh, okay, cool. By the way, anybody listening, we're holding auditions for new new readers.
My gosh.
What? So if you happen to be a lady that appreciates the Dark Phoenix Saga, please hit me up at my email address. I will leave it in the chat. I'm kidding.
Jeff had asked us a question earlier. He said he had wanted to ask me and Maddie, did we visualize the characters from recent movies when we read it, or do we visualize it based on the artwork?
I think the artwork, it's so distinct. The artwork
except I keep Patrick Stewart. I do. I'm sorry, I can't help it. But just Patrick Stewart as that's it. Everyone else, I visualize the artwork because it was very distinct. But for some reason, Patrick Stewart always going to be Xavier for me, so I can't not. Sure. Yeah.
The hard part about doing this show is always like reading segments like this, right? Because it's you're reading like part of a soap opera, right? Like you're reading a small part of a soap opera, and it's one that's like, oh, everybody ends up really, for the most part, really enjoying or really liking, and to bring new readers in to read it, it's like, oh, they're not automatically connected. They're not. It's not a big deal that Beast and Angel show back up. Because
Yeah.
to an old reader, it's like, oh, cool, Beast and Angel are back. That's awesome. It's almost like they have the whole team except for Iceman.
Yeah.
But to a new
Yeah.
reader, they're like, oh yeah, fucking Beast and Angel are always X-Men, so
Yeah.
who fucking cares, right?
And we didn't get to
Yeah.
read her transformation into Phoenix either, so we don't know
Right.
everything that led up to that too, which I think would have maybe had a bigger impact as well. Though I am excited by the end of issue 138 to see what Kitty Pryde has in store for us.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think that's what I was most excited about because I think that was the easy point to jump in because
Mhm.
because seeing them recruit mutants is one of my favorite things to see in X-Men. So I love that. I love seeing Kitty Pryde. I love that whole recruiting thing. But yeah, I think Omar, it's part of it's just like if we had read, and that's a big order. If we had read Claremont's run from the beginning, it would be a different reaction.
It would.
Yeah, I think so.
100%.
So, because by now, this is 1980. By now, you've seen this narrative over and over. As a matter of fact, on Instagram, we're going to post, like, if you like this story, check out these stories. There's been a
Yes.
ton of these. As a matter of fact, just recently, Umbrella Academy. Same
Yeah, that's
goddamn
what I
plot.
kept saying.
Where the
Basically.
good person basically becomes bad. And everybody else like, no, we love you. You gotta turn good again. And she's like, fuck you, bitches. I'm fucking evil and
My
overpowered.
violin,
I don't
I'm
need
the
you.
apocalypse,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah.
But you know what I'm
You
saying?
should recommend Donna Troy when she becomes Troya. That's very like
Is
this.
she evil though? Is she evil? I can't remember. I was gonna recommend
Yeah.
Tara, the what's it called, the Judas Contract. But
Oh, that's
you,
probably
Oh,
a better
yeah.
one to
you
recommend.
and I can get together to do this. But anyway, they have been doing the same story over and over, and I'm sure over time people are like, oh, it's been done better. Of course, it's been done better. This is 1980. I will
Yeah,
tell you.
this-
So a little bit of background before we give our final grade. So Chris Claremont and John Byrne, by this point, were co-plotting the storyline. John Byrne being the artist, Chris Claremont being the writer. And they had created the character of Phoenix. Never in a million years did they want to make her evil. Never did they want to make her turn bad.
Yeah.
At some point, they had a new editor, Louise Simonson. At the time, Louise, there goes all my comic book geek knowledge. Louise, I'll think of her name at the time. But anyway, they were like, hey, how about we make her do something bad? And the editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter, is like, okay, well, there has to be repercussions. He destroyed a planet. So Chris
Yeah.
Claremont and John Byrne were like, yeah, we plan on, and I'll show you all, we plan on depowering her. And anybody that knows the story knows about this. Yeah, we're going to depower her, and she's going to lose her powers, and she's not going to be the Phoenix anymore. And Jim Shooter's like, no, that's not good enough. She destroyed a planet. She killed millions of people, billions of people. There needs to be a bigger repercussion. And at one point, Chris Claremont or John Byrne said, okay, well, we'll kill her in a kind of joking kind of way. And Shooter's like, okay. So when the day came, they had written this story. And this is, by the way, told in the Omnibus and in the trade paperback and in the hardcover. The Phoenix, and in Omnibus Volume 2, by the way, so don't buy that Dark Phoenix hardcover. This is the Dark Phoenix Untold story.
Reminder, guys.
Where 6 extra pages are added where she lived. Where Professor Xavier and the Shi'ar were able to separate the Phoenix from her, and she got to live. And ended up leaving the X-Men with Scott, and they lived happily ever after. Like I said before retcons, before she was found at the bottom of the ocean, this is it. And Jim Shooter's like, no, you said you were going to kill her. He was the editor-in-chief at the time.
And so
they were like, well, shit. And this was the opening page to issue 138, where Phoenix is with
Yeah,
Scott.
I saw that on here. Yeah.
And they were like, well, I guess we got to kill her. And this is really important because this is before the age of the internet, before anything, before, like I said, before retcons. This was Jean Grey. She died.
Yeah.
They got hundreds of death threats by Mel. Like, hey, the next time I see you at a convention, I'm going to kill you because you killed Jean Grey. So I think I like to think of Chris Claremont and John Byrne like sitting back looking at Donny Cates' tweets about getting death threats over Venom and all these other things
Yeah,
going,
and they're
well,
like,
welcome to the
buddy.
club, son. This is what it was
Yeah,
like
but
before the
poor
internet.
Donnie doesn't. Getting it on that level is a lot different than
It,
getting
it
hate
doesn't
mail
matter.
that you could throw away.
Fans get attached to characters. Fans were
They
in
Yeah.
love
do.
with Jean. Didn't
It's
matter.
true.
They killed Jean Grey. And to fans, that was like, I'm going to kill these motherfuckers that killed my favorite character.
And man,
Or-
she's stayed dead
Like,
Yep.
she stayed.
for a long time.
Well, here's what makes me feel old. She didn't stay dead as long as. Oh my god, this is so. Oh god, this is gonna. So she
Dave?
stayed dead until 1986, until
Oh, that's not that long.
Avengers,
That's
the issue of
longer.
Avengers, and then and then Fantastic Four, which led into X Factor 1. She stayed dead longer during Grant Morrison's new X-Men 150 run.
Okay, because I was like,
Wow.
I thought
And
she
then the
was dead for a
recent-
long time.
What's that?
Because I was confused because I thought she was dead for a long time. So when we read this, I assumed this was the time she died and then stayed dead.
Yeah.
No, she only stayed dead for about 7 years. And then they were like, hey, we're going to start this new comic book called X Factor up. And they were like,
Mhm.
okay, cool, we'll have everybody. And they were like, hey, Jean Grey's dead. And they were like, well, we got her clone. Her name's Madeline Pryor. And I want to say, who was the editor at the time? They were like, that's not good enough. We need the real Jean Grey back. So together, they were like, okay, we'll bring her back this way. She had been put in a state of suspended animation at the bottom of the sea. This creature that died was the Phoenix. Jean Grey still alive. Jean Grey was not the Phoenix. She just took her shape. And that's kind of where it ended, right? That's where
Yeah.
X Factor started. And then again she died. But anyway, I just wanted to share that story because I always love that
Yeah.
story of like Chris Claremont and John Byrne getting a bunch of death threats because we act like in the age of the internet, like, oh my god, how dare you threaten that creator for doing this to Venom, or how dare you treat that? No, this has always been a thing. People get attached to characters. People get death threats. People go to conventions and they're like, Mr. Claremont, if I see you after the con, I'm going to shoot you because you killed off Jean Grey. That's what happened back then. That was before the age of the internet. So, somebody brought up Kurt Busiek. Yes, whoever brought that up, that is right. He did kind of come in and save the day a little bit, but also Chris Claremont
That's
had
Freddie.
something to do with that, and so did Louise Simonson. Why am I forgetting her name at the time? Louise.
I don't know.
What was she?
I
Before
think
she
Omar
married
sobered
Walter.
up after we gave our reviews, Maddie. Something that sobered up real
Y'all
quick.
were nothing but a bunch of boner shrinkers. I swear, I was not
Yeah.
expecting that. You're like, I think it's okay. I guess
I
if you're
wanted to
old,
be
you really
different.
like this story.
I did too. At first, I thought maybe this could be good. I just was not a fan of the time slips, and that seemed to go on for such a long time. I don't.
Well,
it
you know what
just,
that's
I
called?
like those.
The time slips were kind of like plan. Claremont was always known for planning ahead of it, like of his time. Like he set up a
Okay.
story many issues before the actual story was going to take fruition. Like he was like, okay, I'm 4 steps ahead of the game. I'm going to set up the events that are going to make her snap 10 years or 5 years before it happens. He was always notorious for that and dangling plot
Yeah.
lines. That's why Louise. God damn it! What was her name?
It's
at the time?
Jones. Mr. Awesome said it's Luis Jones.
Thank
Before
you.
you keep trying to come up with a
Luis
last name, listen to Mr. Awesome. He's saying it's
Thank you,
Jones.
Mr. Awesome. Thank you,
He
Louise
said-
Jones. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so sorry about that. Take away my X-Men credit. Damn, Louise Simonson. Why did you get married and take your husband's name? Anyway, so that is the Dark Phoenix saga. So
Did you want to know?
let's rate it. What would you ladies rate this on a scale of 1 to 10? Keep in mind that we gave Umbrella Academy. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. What? Who
I
wants to go?
think I would give it.
Okay, Amanda
I
wants
was-
to go first. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna give you my thing. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10 for me because of the issues that I had with it.
So you're off
And
the
it's
show
not.
next week.
Yeah,
Go-
it's
no,
not
go
one of my more favorite. It's not one of my favorite stories. So a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Maddie, her smirk says it all. I can't wait to hear that.
Well, it's hard for me to rate things because there's like
Oh, I agree.
I can
Maddie,
recognize
10-point
Maddie,
scale.
Maddie,
but then also like
it's my birthday week, Maddie. My birthday week. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were we saying?
rude. I don't know. I can't give it a good rating because I don't know.
Throwing Omar a
No,
bone. Yes, I love Matthew.
An appropriate one because like there's I always rate comments based on how I feel after, you know,
Me
and if I
too.
connect with them. And I didn't, but I don't discount the importance of this story and how much like, you know, I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm
keep
scared.
digging that. Keep digging that hole. You're gonna be
Just do
replaced.
it,
by
Maddie. Be brave.
I honestly want to say 6, but okay.
A 6?
I
Are
almost wanted to
you?
say that too.
Listen,
I almost wanted to say it too, but I probably was throwing Omar a bone.
Okay, you pressure me in a response. Let me defend it real quick. Okay, listen. I am reading this in 2019.
2019.
Yes.
It's only 39 years after it was
I
written.
haven't read any of the rest. Okay, I have no connection with this.
Agreed.
So when she's dead, that doesn't affect me. So
Yeah.
like I can recognize back then I would have felt differently because I would have been surprised and I would have been like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Mastermind, what? But I don't
Who's that guy?
So I thought it was a good read. I liked the writing. Okay, I'll go 6.5. That's my thing. I'll get 6.5 for me.
That's good. That's solid. That's good.
I think
6.5.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean it just we needed to read the prior comics, I think. And that's how it is with some of the other stuff we've read too. I mean, that some of the other things we've read, we may have been better off reading some of the earlier stuff before leading up to that, but yeah.
Yeah,
It's not something I would recommend a new reader. Just go in X-Men and just read this first.
But it's difficult for me to be like
Avengers.
Oh boy!
What did you give Hick Avengers? Did you give Hick Avengers 7?
Let's go back to
I don't know. It's a garbage book to me.
I can't wait for us to meet him at C2E2.
I will not. Oh my god!
You will not.
Okay, I'm staying in line to meet Hickman because I like his Fantastic Four run, so it has to be on.
A 7 and almost 6 and a 6.5 because they threw me a bone because it was my birthday week. Wow. I can honestly.
What are you gonna give Pinhead 10?
I can see that because it is a different time. This was written in a different time. If anybody out there is reading the messages, I am looking for new co-hosts starting next week.
Shut up.
I could never replace you two. Nobody will put up with me.
It's true.
I will shut up. I will give this a 9 out of 10. I love this story. I love
You do.
Cyclops like just being the leader of the X-Men and keeping it together and having this like whole inner turmoil with himself going, no, I can't break down and cry right now because I have to be the leader. I have to make sure that everybody survives.
Because he has
I
to
love
be a
the
man.
solo Wolverine story. It's one of my favorite childhood stories. So nostalgia has a lot to do with it. And
Yeah.
I think it means a lot more to me because I had read X-Men. I had read that long haul. I had read everything, the Proteus saga, the Phoenix saga, you know, all of it, reading the Savage Land saga, all the way up leading up to the Dark Phoenix saga. So it means more. That's why it's really difficult to sometimes read stories like this.
Yeah. Matthew wants to know when we're going to read the McFarlane Michelin Spidey run because he
Spider-Man.
needs his child destroyed.
Yeah. This actually, it is really funny, like how you hold so much things under like on a pedestal, and you're like, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then when they're like, man, dude, your Umbrella Academy was so authentic and awesome. It's about all these superpowered people living in a mansion and collected by an old guy. And I'm like,
No one said it was
goddamn start of the X-Men?
Did either one of us say it was authentic?
I'm
No.
pretty sure I
But we
quoted
and we
you right.
both said we liked the TV show better than the comic, so calm down. But I am really
Donald, if you go back to our previous episodes, we actually did a count of how many times Phoenix or Jean Grey died.
yeah.
It's one of our episodes we
Well,
did,
panel
I
stuff,
believe, last year sometime. We counted how many times Jean Grey died. I cannot remember. We recorded the episode, but it's on this channel if you go back to it.
Yeah, I am really kind of
Didn't realize this was all about Omar
Yeah.
show. It is today because it's my birthday
is.
week.
because it's just his birthday week. But
Next
I am
week,
really
it's-
relieved to see in our chat the people replying back like, yeah, like giving me and Maddie it's a fair rating. Like I'm kind of surprised and a little bit relieved. Not going into this, I was a little afraid. Oh, we're gonna get tore apart in the chat right now because
No.
I knew how Maddie felt because I asked her beforehand. Because I was like, did I feel the same way as Maddie? I need to know before we go into this, before we surprise Omar. And so I had texted her.
Surprise Omar. This story sucked. And this Claremont guy is a hack? Really?
That's not what we're saying. Clearly, he's a great
Exactly
writer.
what
I
he
mean, his
said.
narration, it's, for me, someone who has always, and, is novels first, right? That's what I grew up on. I was an English major, for crying out loud. So for me, the narration part of it, I love that. His writing style is great. There's nothing to say about that. It's just...
No, honestly,
Yeah.
I think even a 6, because it is a different type of storytelling. One day we're gonna read some Silver Age stuff by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, so you can crush a bunch of old guys' dreams. That's what I'm curious about. What you would give it, like the coming of Galactus and all those classic stories. That's gonna take you at least a month to read. So old reader, new readers will have to go on hiatus for a month. Because I mean, honestly, I can read an Image comic like that in a day. These old stories take a long time.
It takes
and I'm
so
not.
long.
But
there's a lot
wow.
in there.
Okay.
A lot to read.
Wait a minute.
You have to write exactly what they're
bad
feeling or what they're doing.
That's exactly
So
what
many
people talked about back
thoughts.
then.
That's the time period, though. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, and that's how it is. If it was a novel, you'd be hearing everyone's, depending on what, viewpoint, if it's third person, first person, omniscient, whatever. Okay. You're going to, it's very similar to that. I think our newer style is just, how we've adapted to the times.
Reader. Heather.
Oh, crusty reader. Wow.
Heather. I know that's
anyone who takes a guess at how old Omar's going to be on the 14th, you get to pick a book for next.
We don't have to play that game. All right, so 9 out of 10. What did you all give it? I stopped listening when you were like
7 and a 6.5.
6.5 for Dark Phoenix.
I know. Ray said he's going to disown me.
6 point. This is the
ladies. Dave brought a good point up.
Drunk with Omar on Saturday. We should do like a.
Dave brought up a good point.
Wait,
Dave
ladies,
said you watch.
Go ahead.
Dave brought up a good point. He said if you watch a superhero movie from the 80s and then 2018, you tell me which one is better. Dave, we did a first-time view review about 2 months ago of Superman because I've never seen it. And that is a great comparison because my view of Superman was very different than how Omar views it as he watched it growing up.
I don't like that. It's like you're like my view, my young view of this superhero.
Oh shoot, everyone's guessing your age right now.
Yeah, because they already know they watch my show. 51, you're fucking somebody kick her off.
I think I can play in some things though, because like I feel like if I showed, so I was really into anime and manga growing up, and if I feel like I showed either, because maybe not Omar, he probably seen it too, but if I showed like Amanda, some of my like favorite stuff from back then, like I know it's bad. I know it's bad, but I can like still say all like the dialogue out loud and like.
Now, which ones? Because Corey's shown me. So Corey is into a lot of anime, and so when I first started dating Corey, he made me watch Dragon Ball Z. We got to like the Frieza saga, and I was like, "Wow, these filler episodes are killer, man."
You guys are assholes.
Watched like Trigun, and I did watch Berserk, and that was that was life changing. I didn't think I had nightmares about that. That
51.
was that rape scene.
Well,
anyways, but I've watched
Maddie
some.
You said the R word.
The R word. I've seen some anime, so I think I would appreciate it. I don't know how old we're talking though.
That's not that old. That's like 1997.
I know. You're right. It's not that old. Well, Corey's only born in '87, so
I'm thinking of like movies that Amanda's into, like To All the Boys I Loved Before. I mean, like, right? Like. I'm not watching that, but I get it. I would watch it for her. I would watch it for you.
That's an untapped market right now, and that did so well on Netflix.
An untapped market, really? We're talking about
serious. Teenage
X-Men.
Girls. They buy crap. That's why you want to get them into stuff, because they will buy and obsess and buy and obsess.
I was a teenage girl. Is when we like watch all this other shit doesn't fit into our channel.
This has nothing to do with Jean Grey anymore.
I feel like this has turned from old reader, new readers into shit on old reader. books
No.
that he really likes. But honestly, 6.5 and 7, that's not bad. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Especially for somebody that was born after the time that these books were written. We're gonna do more
We don't need
classic
to talk
books
about.
later on, but next week we are doing a non-classic book, but maybe a classic because it is getting a hardcover, and that is Gail Simone's run on
Yes. So excited.
Maddie.
My wife read Sonya.
Okay,
And I'll lead the discussion on that one. I'll
Oh yeah,
be
definitely.
ready.
so there we go.
So get
So we're
ready.
All right, we're gonna get ready. I gotta read 3 volumes of Red Sonja. They had to read 9 issues of Uncanny X-Men,
They're
which is
not-
the equivalent. Oh my god, I can't. The thing is, I love Gail Simone, so I know I'm not gonna shit on this story and be like, man, if I was like young and in my 20s, this story would be like really cool.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up loving it and then getting the hardcover. Shut up.
And then the week after that, we do Lazarus Volume 1.
And then Lazarus
Regular.
Volume 1, because that was what was voted on this channel.
Yes.
And then
You guys all voted.
actually, yeah, we'll do more votes like that later on as far as like
Yes.
classic runs. I'll suggest a few classic runs, and then you all can vote on what we should read next. So next week.
And then tomorrow,
Golly,
Omar's going to put up his
busting my balls
recommendations.
on my age. Man, you guys are heartless.
Yeah. I appreciate all this, guys.
You
should see the games I made up for him for his party. They are going to be
my
lit.
27-year-old party. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So, yes, the stream lagged for Matthew, so we're going to be reading Gail Simone's Red Sonja from Dynamite, which is coming out with a hardcover fairly soon. So
yeah, like September.
And then we're reading Lazarus at the end of the week. So next Tuesday on March 19th. I'm stupid
March
with numbers.
19th. We're not there yet, Claire.
Yep. 19th, we are reading Gail Simone's Red Sonja. And then on March 26th, we are reading Lazarus Volume 1. So keep that in mind.
Yes. And then we're going to be we'll be at C2E2 in Chicago. So if any of you are around, hit us up. Love to say hi.
Yeah.
We'll be doing some interviews and filming a lot, and it'll be a lot of fun.
And we could probably schedule like a meetup or something. I don't know if anybody's interested in that.
I would love to do that. I know Jeff is going to be there.
We'll put a meetup event on our Facebook page, and you guys can come to it. Let us know if you want to go to the meetup, and we will all meet
Not with these assholes are calling me old. What the fuck? You don't look a day over 50. I know. It's funny how sad I am on the inside. Thanks a lot, guys. I come here to feel young, and instead I get shit on. This was Omar. Thank you for watching Old Reader, New Reader. I will be joined by new co-hosts next week that actually care about old.
Oh, you're signing us off?
I'm just kidding. I'm not, unless you're all ready.
I guess
You're the Jess now. I am not Jess. I need to have Jess on the show more often so he can be the old reader. But that guy hasn't read any of the old stuff, so he's also a new reader, and he's like, I don't know about this Uncanny X-Men. This is not cool for me. But yeah, we will have Jess on again because I do love doing that. Right now, he's going through the Cosmic Saga, and I'm very, very jealous of that. Because I want all 3 of us to go through the Cosmic Saga, because
I really
know that's what's coming next. We know they're gonna do a Nova movie. There is no other way to go.
That's where they're going. It's obvious. I'm very looking forward to it.
Love you too. You know I love you.
Yeah. All right. You ready to sign us off, or you wanna?
No, you all can sign us off.
Okay.
One of you ladies.
Sure.
My boy
all
Charlie.
right, everyone. Thank you guys for watching. Remember, Omar has started doing a If You Like This, Read That for our Old Reader, New Reader. So check our social media pages tomorrow. I'll be posting his recommendations for what to read next if you like the Dark Phoenix Saga. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and ring that bell for notifications for more great near mint condition content. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media channels at Near Mint Con. And as always, remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint. Have a good evening, everyone, and we will see y'all later.